Welcome to our deep dive. Today, we're diving into emptiness. It's pretty central to Buddhist thought. You sent over some really fascinating texts on this. They focus on, how the self, andi, everything we experience can be thought of as empty. Now, don't worry. This isn't like nihilism or anything. We're going to try to see reality more clearly,
Yep.
and hopefully, find some more freedom.
Yeah, that's it. Emptiness or sunyata. It's really a key to liberation from suffering in Buddhist thought.
Okay, so the text mentioned like two main types of emptiness. Can we start there?
Absolutely. We have emptiness of self and emptiness of dharmas.
Emptiness of self. I have to admit, when I first heard that, I thought, wait a minute, am I not real?
Yeah, I get that. It's an understandable reaction. But, it's not saying that you as an individual don't exist. It's more about how we usually see the self, Like it's this fixed thing, independent. But these texts suggest that the self is more like a process, always changing, influenced by tons of stuff. Think of it like a river. We give it a name, we see it as one thing. But the water is always flowing. Always changing.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's not denying our existence, really.
Yeah.
But it's recognizing that we're not as static,
Yeah.
not as solid as we think. And what about dharmas? That one always kind of throws me.
Dharmas is, it's a really broad term. It includes all phenomena, basically everything we experience, like the chair you're sitting on, or even the thoughts in your mind. And just like the self, Dharmas are impermanent too. They're all connected. They're constantly arising and ceasing.
So both ourselves and the things around us, they lack this fixed existence. But the text you sent over, they say that clinging to that idea of a solid self and a solid reality is what causes suffering. Why is that? What's so bad about wanting things to be stable, to be lasting?
Imagine holding onto a rope swing over a rushing river. You're gripping it tight, right? Believing it's your only support, the only thing keeping you safe. But what if that rope is frayed? What if it's unreliable? You'd be constantly afraid of falling. That fear, that anxiety, that's the suffering caused by clinging. We cling to ideas, to possessions, relationships, our sense of self, as if they were, permanent, unchanging.
That's a really powerful image. So if we let go of that clinging, right? Let go of the need for things to be fixed, permanent. Is that what leads to liberation?
It's a big part of it, yeah. By recognizing that things aren't as solid as we think, we can loosen that grip and discover a different kind of stability, one that's grounded in understanding the true nature of reality.
This reminds me of how one of the texts, it breaks down this illusion of self into 5 aggregates, like an ancient recipe for a human being or something. It lists form, feeling, thought, action, and consciousness. What's the significance of those?
The 5 aggregates are, they're basically the building blocks of how we experience the world, how we interact with it. The text invites us to examine them, really closely, and discover that they also lack that inherent independent existence. Imagine your experience as a house. Okay, the form is the physical structure. Feeling is the atmosphere. Thoughts are the blueprints. Actions are the building process. And consciousness is the awareness of living in the house.
I like that. And there's this one detail that really stuck with me. The text describes form as being made up of earth, water, fire, and wind. And then it basically says, oh, and by the way, those are empty too. Mm-hmm. It's like emptiness all the way down.
Exactly. It emphasizes that emptiness. It permeates everything from the most basic elements to our most complex experiences. It's woven into the fabric of reality.
So it's not just some abstract concept then. It's something we can actually observe in our own experience.
Absolutely. One of the texts even suggests, trying to grasp onto those aggregates, your body, your feelings, your thoughts, and realizing you can't really hold on to them. They're constantly in flux, changing.
That's fascinating. It's almost like an invitation to test this idea out, see if it holds up.
It is. These teachings encourage us not to just accept blindly what's being said, but to explore, to investigate for ourselves.
Okay, so we've talked about this misconception of a fixed self. What other ways do the texts describe how people get tripped up? By their understanding of self.
Well, there's a passage that really vividly describes it. You know how we get obsessed with the general appearance of the body and mind, clinging to them like they were real. solid. And this clinging, this fixation on the surface, that's what ultimately leads to confusion and suffering.
That makes you think about how attached we can get, to our appearance or to certain thoughts and emotions, believing that they define us.
Yeah, it's like we're so caught up in the show, the ever-changing show of our thoughts and feelings, that we miss the deeper truth of their impermanence, their interconnectedness.
So if we could let go of these misconceptions about the self and understand this deeper truth, what happens then? What does liberation actually look like?
The texts, they describe liberation as being free from all fear and fear, surviving all sufferings, and being free from changes in life and death. It's like it paints this picture of deep peace and understanding, that goes beyond the usual ups and downs of life.
It almost sounds like a state of complete freedom, like finally being able to exhale after holding your breath for way too long. The text also mentions eternal nirvana and the two vehicles of liberation.
Can we unpack those a bit?
Nirvana is often translated as extinction or blowing out, but it's not about like annihilation or anything. It's more about extinguishing the fires of greed, hatred, and delusion, the things that keep us trapped in the cycle of suffering. And eternal nirvana points to the lasting nature of this liberation once it's fully realized.
So it's not a temporary state of bliss, right? But a fundamental shift in how we experience reality. Exactly. And the two vehicles of liberation refer to the paths of understanding the emptiness of self and the emptiness of dharmas. These two insights, they work together, like two wings of a bird, to lift us out of that cycle of suffering.
It's starting to feel like emptiness isn't a void, but a doorway to something much richer, a more profound way of being.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's not about denying the reality of our experience, but seeing it more clearly without the filters of our usual clinging and misconceptions. This makes me think of a story actually about this renowned Zen master. Someone asked him about the nature of enlightenment, and instead of giving some complex philosophical answer, he held up a flower and smiled.
I see where you're going with this. It's about experiencing reality directly without getting bogged down in concepts and labels.
Precisely. Sometimes the simplest things can be the most profound.
This all connects back to that idea that understanding emptiness, it isn't just some intellectual exercise, right? It's about directly experiencing this interconnectedness.
Absolutely. The text even uses the metaphor searching for yin and yang, emphasizing that these seemingly opposing forces are also empty, not ultimately graspable as separate things. It's pointing to a reality that goes beyond our usual dualistic thinking. It encourages a shift from analyzing to simply being.
Sometimes I think our minds are like those old record players, constantly spinning the same tired tunes of worry, doubt, and self-criticism. Maybe understanding emptiness is like lifting the needle, allowing for a moment of silence where we can really hear the music of the universe.
What a wonderful way to put it. It's about creating space for a different kind of knowing, and knowing that comes from direct experience rather than just our mental chatter.
The text also mentions reflecting on the aggregates after experiencing them. It's almost like a mindfulness practice or something, bringing awareness to the impermanence and lack of inherent self-nature in everything we encounter.
Yes. It encourages us to become keen observers of our own experience, noticing how everything is in constant flux, like clouds passing across the sky.
So we're not just passively accepting this idea of emptiness, right? We're actively engaging with it, testing it out in our own lives.
Exactly. It's an invitation to a lifelong journey of exploration and discovery.
We've covered so much ground in this deep dive, from the two types of emptiness to the five aggregates, the root of suffering, and the path to liberation. What stands out to you as the most significant takeaway from all this?
For me, it's the emphasis on the transformative power of understanding emptiness. It's not about escaping the world or denying the reality of our experiences, but seeing them in a new light, a light that can free us from suffering and open us to a deeper, more compassionate way of being.
It's not about becoming, emotionless or detached, but rather cultivating a different relationship with our emotions, recognizing that they are impermanent and ultimately empty.
Exactly. It's about finding freedom within our experience, not freedom from it.
And this deep dive has definitely been an exploration of freedom from limiting beliefs, freedom from clinging, and freedom to experience the world with more openness and curiosity. One thing that keeps coming up for me is this idea that if everything is interconnected, right, and in flux, what does that mean for how we view our actions and their impact on the world around us? It feels like this interconnectedness, it adds a whole other dimension to emptiness. If our actions are like part of this web, right, this constantly shifting web of causes and conditions, it makes you think a little more carefully about the choices we make every day.
Yeah, that's really important. The texts, they highlight how understanding emptiness isn't just about personal liberation. It's also about recognizing our interconnectedness with all beings and acting accordingly. Our actions, no matter how small they seem, they create ripples that extend way beyond ourselves.
So it's not about retreating from the world, but engaging with it in a more mindful way, a more compassionate way.
Exactly. The realization of emptiness, it's meant to be a catalyst, for living a more skillful life, a more compassionate life, understanding that our own well-being is inseparable from the well-being of others.
It's almost like realizing that we're all in this together, right? We're all co-creating the reality we experience.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And with this understanding comes a deeper sense of responsibility for our thoughts, our words, our actions.
This deep dive has been quite a journey. We've explored some really profound concepts, uncovering the transformative power of understanding emptiness. It's not about things not existing, right? But about them not having this fixed, independent nature. And that realization, as we've discovered, is the key to unlocking a life free from suffering.
Emptiness may seem, complex, even a little daunting at first, but I encourage you to keep contemplating it. Let it challenge your assumptions, expand your perspective, and guide you towards a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you.
It's a bit like we've been handed a new set of lenses, to view the world, revealing its interconnectedness, its impermanence, allowing us to experience life with more clarity, more compassion.
And with that new perspective, who knows what possibilities might open up? Perhaps you'll find yourself noticing the subtle ways emptiness shows up, in your daily life, or feeling a deeper sense of connection to the world around you.
Maybe we'll all start walking a little lighter, knowing that we're not carrying the weight of a solid, unchanging self.
Perhaps one thing's for sure: the journey of understanding emptiness. It's an ongoing one, full of surprises and insights.
Well, on that note, we'll leave you to continue your own explorations. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into emptiness. Until next time.